assassination attempt in Butler. It is clear now the Secret Service has been lying. Testimony that I pulled up testimony from C-SPAN lying. Jack Posobiec calls out the acting director of the Secret Service, the new one, lying. And with the text messages that were released, the New York Times has got it. Many other outlets have got it. The Secret Service says that the shooter entered the rally location with them. Of course, what the text messages say is that, this guy followed our lead and came on in. He's got a rangefinder. Now, let me just ask you, if you're driving into a secure area, Secret Service, right? Like highest level of security we're supposed to have, right? And a strange man drives in with you. Do you just go, well, that's odd, off to work? Or do you do your job and say, excuse me, sir, you can't come in here. Why are you following us in and parking your car by us and sitting 50 feet from us? None of it makes sense. Why wasn't somebody on that roof guarding it? Why was the shooter allowed to fly a drone 3 hours in advance? Where did he get his gun from? Did he carry it around with him? I'm sorry, you'd have to be a fool to believe that this is some crazed 20-year-old who got lucky. Now, we don't have an official story yet, which is also very funny, and I've been begging for one for some time. What's the official narrative? Who's this guy? What was he doing? Why was he doing it? Why was he there? Why did he shoot? How did he get on the roof? No answers. None. Now, I think, of course, as most of you know, after the shooting happened, a media report came out saying that Iran was planning an attack on Trump's life. So the theory is they were hoping, powers that be, intelligence agencies, whoever's involved, that they would take out Trump, blame it on Iran, and then from there we can speculate what Nikki Haley becomes the Republican nominee. Then it's Biden v. Haley or it's Harris v. Haley. And the media is like, no matter who you vote for, you're getting a woman of color. They both support war with Iran. Perhaps. Outside of that, we actually have, I believe it's United and Delta, a couple airlines. Maybe not Delta. It's a couple airlines shutting down travel to Tel Aviv and other parts of the Middle East, possibly Iran. I don't know which airline service, Iran, to be honest, due to the escalating tensions. However, I was torn, my friends, because this morning we got huge breaking news. In the Olympics, a dude, boom, blasts this woman in the face. Her face, oh man, he punched her so hard, he knocked her out clean. Well, he didn't knock her out, he knocked her out of the fight. I mean, he knocked her out of the sporting event. She resigned. She said she got hit so hard, it was clear she was overpowered and she couldn't fight. So she resigned. Major scandal. And dudes, I said this a couple days ago. Alex Stein said, make the bet on the biological male in these boxing matches. But I got bad news for you, Alex. The odds had gotten to minus 3,000. What does that mean? It means if you wager $100, you win $3. $3. Dude, I guess it's still free money, but someone pointed out on X, they were like, I don't know, you can invest in like the S&P or something and get a 5% return. And I'm like, yeah, but this is an instant 3% return. I suppose the real problem is if you were to actually bet on the male, you never know if they're going to throw the match. Because imagine this, dude. Biological male says, I'm a woman and I'm going to fight women. So everybody runs full speed to bet on you, the guy. Okay. And you get minus 3,000 odds. The woman, she had, what would this have been? It was like plus 5,000. I think a lot of places don't go higher than that. Plus 5,000. And, which I think like $100 bet nets you like $5,000 or whatever. And, you're this male and you go, I'm going to win. And then you throw the match and then your buddy cleans up. So I don't know if I would trust betting on any of these things. So we'll talk about that. But the Olympics just all around an absolute disaster. And then, of course, someone says they got in at minus 200. No, I did see you could bet on the guy at minus 150 2 days ago. But then apparently people figured out, because odds are based on who's betting on who. People figured out, hey, wait a minute, that's a guy. Like, I'm going to bet on him. But we'll also talk about Donald Trump at the National Association for Black Journalists, because that was a really funny story from last night. Before we get started, my friends, head over to castbrew.com. Buy Cast Brew coffee. Why? It's good coffee. It's the best coffee you'll ever have. We've got Alex Stein's Primetime Grind. Ian's Graphene Dream. We got Appalachian Nights, everybody's favorite. And when you buy Cast Brew Coffee, you're supporting the show, but also head over to timcast.com, click Join Us, become a member to support our work directly, and you'll get access to our members-only Discord server where you can hang out with like-minded individuals. There's a bunch of really cool stuff happening. There's they do workshops, pre-shows, after shows. It's a lot of fun. And you can just, hang out with people who will share stories and you'll learn a bit. But also you'll get access to our members-only uncensored show Monday through Thursday at 10 p.m. every day. So once again, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show right now because everybody's saying I'm shadow banned. And that is true. This channel is absolutely shadow banned, far and wide. You can't Google search it. So share this video on X, on Facebook, wherever you can, if you really do like the work that I do. But let's jump to this first story. And also don't forget, get those super chats in, because after I wrap up the first segment, about half an hour in, we're going to jump to your commentary, your questions in the super chats, see what you guys have to say. And we'll get started with this from Fox News. Video from Trump assassination attempt. Victim's POV shows figure moving on roof moments before gunfire. James Copenhaver was shot twice and critically wounded during the assassination attempt against Trump. And you can see here, this video has been circulating since yesterday. You've got this figure running around on the roof. I think when you take that image, combine it with the statements we've already gotten from the Secret Service director and acting director, as well as witnesses, combined with the overall picture being painted from the news stories that have been released, this guy was allowed to be there. Let's start from the beginning. He was let in by the Secret Service. They knew who he was. Where he got his gun, we don't know, but come on. You don't let a guy in and then not have, what has he got? Was the gun dismantled and he put it together? How? Where was this weapon? In his vehicle? And they didn't check? They didn't do anything? They let him in. How was there no law enforcement on that roof? How did he get on the roof? Why didn't they do anything 3 hours, 1 hour, 26 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes out? I think it's fairly obvious. Dude, you're not going to sit here and tell me, well, it was an accident, a coincidence, an accident, and then the Secret Service lied. Or I can simplify it for you. They let him in and they knew what he was doing. Because it's just at a certain point, you guys ever see the beginning of the Pee Wee Herman movie where he's got the Rube Goldberg device that makes his breakfast for him? If you were to tell me, okay, I'll lay it out. If I walk into the kitchen and I see a guy with a couple of sunny side up eggs and a pancake and some sausage, and I said, how did you make it? And he was like, well, it all started with a race car that fell from the ceiling and hit a marble. The marble rolls down a track, triggers a fan, hits a switch, which turns the fan on. The fan blows a sail. The sail then hits an egg. The egg rolls. I'd be like, shut up. Okay, I get it. You cooked eggs. I'm not going to sit here and play some Rube Goldberg, Donald Trump assassination theory game with these people. Well, when the shooter tripped and fell, right as the Secret Service agent was walking by, they didn't see him. And then he popped up. What a coincidence. I'm not going to buy any of these stupid games, okay? Let me see. Let's play this clip.
Great gentlemen. So
he's running around on the roof. We assume it's the shooter because no one else was up there. But you can see the dude running around on the roof. What is this? Let's read some more from this story. It looks like there's another story. A video from James Copenhaver, one of the victims, shows a figure moving across the roof of the American Glass AGR building just minutes before gunfire rang out. Considering the timeline, that was the shooter. In the video taken at 6:08 p.m. on July 13th, the person appears on the roof of the building adjacent to where Trump is speaking and can be seen walking from the 1 second mark to about 2 seconds 50. Officials believe gunman Thomas Crooks, 20, began shooting with a collapsible AR-15 rifle. What does that mean? Like a folding stock or something? Counter snipers fatally shot Crooks shortly afterwards, and law enforcement officials found 8 shell casings near his body. In an attempt to assassinate the former president, Crooks killed 50-year-old Corey Comprator, a husband, father, and former fire chief of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Department. Rest in peace. Crooks also critically wounded Copenhaver, 74, and David Dutch, 57. Both victims were shot twice, according to those familiar with the victims. Copenhaver was not filming when he was shot, said his lawyer. Joseph Feldman, at the law offices of Maxie Feldman, said Copenhaver stopped filming when everyone turned their heads to look at a projection screen. Interesting. Copenhaver was discharged from Allegheny General Hospital on July 26, but is still recovering in a rehabilitation center. The first injury Copenhagen sustained was to his arm, and the second to his abdominal area. Now, I'm hearing this. There's even more footage that the FBI came and took people's devices, so we will see. Trump and his rally attendees turned their heads to look at the immigration statistics that had just been projected onto a large screen as the first shots rang out. He had almost seen or heard something whiz past him, which we're assuming was a bullet. He felt it on his arm, and he looked down at his arm and felt pain initially, but he hadn't even realized he'd been shot a second time at that point. It could have been shock. That's true. Most people don't realize when they get hit that they've been hit. It's the reality of getting shot. In the movies, it's ridiculous. A guy gets punched and he flips over and he goes down. He doesn't get back up. Nonsense. There are these videos, and this is why largely liberals have this fictional worldview about guns. You'll watch a movie and the good guy goes bang, 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 and then they all just drop down. Yeah, no. There's a video of, there's like two cops, and there's a crazy guy with a knife. And the cops are like, back away, and the guy's coming in with a knife. The cops are trying to de-escalate and back away. And then when he lunges at him, they shoot. And he keeps coming at them. They shoot him several times. He doesn't stop. And then, I think it might be the same video. It's been a long time. But he like grabs the cop, and then the one cop screams and shoots him in the head. People don't understand. Especially when you're dealing, depending on the caliber of bullet as well. Like, people also don't consider the function of the human body. Like, if you get shot in like your digestive tract and it misses major arteries, your body is functioning. You've got damage to your digestive tract. If you get hit in like a major artery, then you're going down because blood, you need that. But people have even survived getting shot in the head, so long as there's so I think there's one story of like a bullet went straight down in between the hemispheres, and he ended up like having minimal damage, like brain damage, but like alive and functioning. That being said, back to the story. Screaming and pandemonium ensued, and it took Copenhagen some time to realize what happened to him. FBI officials told reporters during a press call on Monday that crooks gained access to the roof of the AGR building by climbing HVAC equipment and piping. He then traversed multiple rooftops before he found his position on top of the AGR building, where he had a direct line of sight to the former president. Okay, let's play this game. I'm still waiting for your official story. I like that they've pieced this. This is true. The HVAC story was almost from the day of, because I was watching Dan Bongino talk about it. We knew about the HVAC issue, like how he climbed on the roof for a while now. But how did he get in? How was he not stopped? Where did the gun come from? No official story. You go. I use 9/11 as an example quite a bit. You go back to 9/11, and they say almost immediately that day, Osama bin Laden had planned this. He and several others had infiltrated the U.S. They'd taken flying lessons. They boarded these planes at these times. These are what they used, box cutters. We knew that within a day. Now, some may say it's kind of weird we knew that within a day. Perhaps. We don't know what this is. We don't know what this guy was doing or why he was doing it. Apparently, he was pro-Biden on some social media accounts, but he was anti-Semitic, anti-immigration on other accounts. I wonder if the narrative was going to be the anti-Semitic posts they found that they're claiming may have been his. They were going to say Iran supported him, provided him with funding or something like this and direction, and that he was motivated by a hatred of Israel and Jewish people or something. And thus, you'd get your casus belli for war with Iran. But it did not happen like that. Take a look at this. I pulled up the transcripts because I think this is important. This is Kimberly Cheadle being questioned by Rep. Byron Donalds. I've got the old transcript here. This was interesting. Here's a statement. What I can tell you is that when the individual was identified by the counter sniper, they took one shot, second, neutralized that individual. Question. But that was after the shooter all took a shot, had taken a shot. Is that correct? That is correct. So what you're saying now is that the Secret Service did not see the shooter on the roof until after the shooter took a shot? The response, I do not have all of those details at this time. Question, if you don't have those details after 9 days, Director, which the transcript's not very good. Telling is your guys didn't see it. You're telling us your guys didn't see it. I'm telling you I don't have all the details of the sequence at that time. Director, it's been 9 days. We're still in the process. So hold on there a minute. This is the problem. I would just say this. And I'm a big fan of Byron Donalds, but a lot of people, and maybe, I'm not a lawyer, maybe a lawyer would advise otherwise, but you don't need the follow-up. The follow-up often provides an out for the individual who told you the truth. And the truth is this. What I can tell you is that when the individual was identified, they took the shot. But that was after the shooter took the shot. Is that correct? That is correct. Stop. Thank you for your testimony. I yield my time. And now what happens is, on the record, Kimberly Cheadle said the shooter fired and then they saw him and returned fire. You didn't see the guy running around on the roof? The video just came out. That doesn't make sense, does it? Now, the narrative we'd been getting is that he was behind a tree. Counter snipers couldn't see behind the tree. It was the perfect position. He had crawled up in the prone position, hidden by this tree so that nobody could see him. But now we can see that he was actually running around. So how did they not see this guy on the roof? I mean, if you want to play this into the argument that they thought the guy on the roof was a friendly, okay. Local law enforcement must have been local law enforcement wearing a T-shirt and khakis without a badge and aiming a weapon at former President Trump. You want me to believe that? Jack Posobiec chimes in. He says, this video proves that the acting Secret Service director lied yesterday. The shooter wasn't prone the whole time at all. He was running around. Yeah. What else is new? It almost feels, to be completely honest, I run into stories like this periodically where I'm wondering why I'm even talking about it. Because I don't understand how anyone could conclude anything otherwise, that this was orchestrated and there was an attempt on Donald Trump from an official capacity. Tucker Carlson predicted this in September. Alex Jones well before this. But the point is, for an individual like Tucker to say everything we're seeing is bringing us to assassination territory, when his prediction then comes true, do you dismiss all of the finer points that Tucker has brought up to lead him to this position? I think not. My point being, they've tried to imprison Trump. They've tried to strip him of his wealth. They've tried to do everything to stop him, raiding his home at gunpoint, threatening his family, accusing him of sexual assault, changing the rules to charge him 30 years later with liability for sexual assault. Dubious story at best. Trying to take away his properties in New York and then put him in prison in multiple states at the federal level. And then Tucker's like, look at what they're doing. They're not going to stop here. And then we get this story. So it's not just the context of what happened that day, how it makes no sense, and how their answers make no sense, and they seem to be lying or misleading us. It also seems to be that the context around Donald Trump itself, as Tucker Carlson predicted, suggests evil people will stop at nothing. And the New York Times says some Republicans embrace conspiracy theories on Trump assassination attempt. You can't do that, New York Times, because there is no theory. There's no official story. So everything and anything said is going to be a conspiracy theory because nobody knows. What's your story, New York Times? Crazy guy for no reason with no known motive shows up, slips past. Every single step is identified but never called out. And with the threat on record, they don't stop Trump from going on stage. And with the threat announced by the members of the public 2 minutes before the shots were fired, they did not pull Trump from that stage. Your story, your conspiracy theory, New York Times, is that members of the public, random people standing about, provided better security than the Secret Service and local law enforcement combined. You sound like psychopaths. Some embrace conspiracy theories. You give me the official government theory or story as to what happened, and we'll have a discussion about what a conspiracy theory is. But until that day, we will all be investigating and lining up the pieces to the best of our abilities to figure out what happened. And that means every theory is fair game because you don't have any answers. But we'll make it one better. Gunman at Trump rally was often a step ahead of the Secret Service. Lies. It's framing. This is not the headline. That's an opinion. Whether or not the gunman was ahead of the Secret Service is an opinion. And I tell you this, it's the wrong opinion. The Secret Service was ahead of the shooter. We know this. They're lying. How do we know this? In your own story, New York Times, text messages obtained exclusively by the Times indicate that some law enforcement officers were aware of Thomas Crooks earlier than previously known, and he was aware of them. Let me just pause for a minute. If you knew he was there, how is he one step ahead of you? Hey, New York Times, who wrote this article? Haley Willis, Eric Toller, David A. Farentholt, and Adam Goldman. Let me just explain to you, like, logic, because maybe you never learned this. But if law enforcement knows the guy is there, he is not one step ahead of them. They're one step ahead of him. And then they did nothing. You see why this doesn't quite make sense? But go ahead, play your narrative games. This story, of course, is several days old. Here's the text. Someone followed our lead and snuck in and parked by our cars, just so you know. I'm just letting you know because you see me go out with my rifle and put it in my car, so he knows you guys are all up there. He's sitting to the direct right on a picnic table about 50 yards from the exit. I say hogwash. I say outright hogwash. I have been to many, many, many Trump rallies with press credentials approved by the campaign, and it was difficult to get in. Not the hardest thing in the world. You go to the press line, the dogs sniff you, they take all your stuff, they search through it all. The idea that they'd be like, some guy just drove in right with us and he's got a rangefinder. Guess we'll do nothing. Oh, right. I believe that. Unless it was intentional. Why the text message then? I don't know. Maybe this guy did not know what was going on. I do think it's kind of funny, though. They say, let me read this. Nearly 100 minutes before Donald Trump took the stage, a local counter sniper who was part of the broader security detail let his colleagues know his shift was ending. He exited the second floor of the warehouse that overlooked the campaign rally site, leaving two other counter snipers behind. Outside, the officer noticed a young man with long, stringy hair sitting at a picnic table. So at 4:26 p.m., he texted his colleagues about the man. He said the person would have seen him come out with his rifle and know you guys are up there. The counter sniper who sent the text confirmed to the New York Times that the individual he saw later was the gunman. So I just want to, ask a simple question. Did you perhaps, I don't know, walk up to the person who was in an area he should not have been and said, "Sir, you need to leave"? No. What's the reason here? At 5:10, the young man was no longer at the picnic table. He was right below the counter snipers who were upstairs in a warehouse owned by AGR International. They say that one of the counter snipers took pictures of him, according to local law enforcement. Now, what I've heard is, everyone just thought everyone else was going to do it. That's not my job. I don't play the game. I'm pretty sure they mentioned that he had a rangefinder. Kid learning around building we are in. Lurking, I think he meant. AGR believed it is. AGR believe it is. I did see him with a rangefinder looking towards stage. What? At 5:38, you're like a guy who's not supposed to be here, who snuck in, has got a rangefinder. Everything's fine, I guess. I don't buy it for 2 seconds. Sorry. Criminal negligence at the bare minimum. It is absolutely wild. All right, let's talk about the conspiracy theories. This is where we're at. Some Republicans embrace conspiracy theories on Trump assassination attempt. Heavens me. What is this from yesterday? Rep. Eli Crane, an Arizona Republican and former Navy SEAL, says he is no conspiracy theorist. But in the weeks since the attempted assassination of Trump, he has made the baseless suggestion that the shooting was part of a coordinated campaign by Democrats or shadowy government actors to try to stop the former president from reclaiming the White House. Not only did they try and bankrupt him, but they tried to put him in prison, Crane told Jeff Orovitz, a right-wing radio personality. When that didn't work, they tried to put him in prison for 750 years, and many of us said the next step in the escalation is for them to try and kill him because they can't. They know they can't beat him fair and square. Well, to be fair, that's not him saying this instance was Democrats trying to kill him. In an appearance on the Glenn Beck program, Mr. Crane, who traveled to PA site where Trump was shot to conduct his own investigation, said, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but at the same time, I don't want to, rule anything out because I don't put it past some of the people in our government to do anything necessary to hold on to power. I don't care, guys. I'm not running for office. I never want to run for office. I don't care whether you think I'm right or you think I'm wrong. The idea, logically, Does not make sense. They've given us no official story. And you know what really irks me? Rep Crane, just say it. Rational, logical thinking people agree with you. We do not need this tempered, well, you know, I just don't know. I don't want to sound crazy. With respect to Crane. I mean, I had him on the show. He's a good dude. I'm just saying. Here we go. Look at this one. This is from the 30th. Ted Cruz, Secret Service leader, tangled at Senate hearing over assassination attempt. Cruz accused the U.S. Secret Service on Tuesday of making a politically motivated decision to deny former President Donald Trump extra security. Just say it. There is no logical explanation. There is no rational explanation outside of at least one person in an official capacity wanted this to happen. Look, man, how about this? How about this? Let's say there was an insurance company and they're surrounding a building in every which way except the back door. And firefighters are there. And a man carrying matches and lighter fluid is walking around the building, looking around. And they're all just like, hey, look at that guy. You know, and we know there have been numerous threats in the building to burn it down. So no one's guarding the back door. And the guy hanging out by the back door and law enforcement, everybody is watching him by the back door with lighter fluid. And they're just like, how about that? And then he walks in and then he's running around the building. People are screaming. A guy with lighter fluid is in the building and no one does anything. And then the building burns down. The reason it's funny because you don't even need the analogy. The story itself of the Trump assassination makes literally no sense. But I'm like, I want to give this building burning down analogy because if that were to happen, there's no question they'd be like, you guys let him do it. You let him do it. You had law enforcement counter snipers being like, hey, a guy with a rangefinder just snuck in and he's by the building and he's using it to gauge the distance between him and the stage. Well, how about that? Roger that, buddy. He snuck in with you. Yep, saw him. And no one thought to ask him, nope. I'll just drop it all. And I'll say this. Regular people at the rally were screaming, he's got a gun, he's got a gun, 2 minutes before he opened fire. You expect me to believe that with all the counter snipers, all the local law enforcement, the fact that they'd already identified this guy hours earlier and taken pictures of him, they did not identify the man with the gun on the roof and do anything about it or pull Trump in? I don't believe it. There are 3 questions. The 3 questions are, does Trump derangement syndrome exist? And let's get into a little bit more detail than I normally do because, you know, the obvious answer is yes, but what is Trump derangement syndrome? Trump derangement syndrome is when a person cannot absorb information that would counter their negative view of Donald Trump. Derangement, meaning no matter what, Trump is evil, he's wrong, he's done bad, he's Hitler, etc. And no amount of trying to debunk the narrative will change their mind. They think Trump called Nazis verifying people. They think Trump said to inject bleach into your arm. Never did. Never happened. Trump condemned white nationalists and neo-Nazis. But someone with Trump derangement syndrome cannot see rationally. Okay, next question. Do any of the people suffering from TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, want Donald Trump to die? That's an easy one to answer because following this, they all started posting online that they did. And many of them lost their jobs, but they're not the only ones. Several men in the street interviews show Democrat voters saying they wish that Trump lost his life that day. It's horrifying. And lastly, number 3, is it possible that someone suffering Trump derangement syndrome that wants Trump to die works for the federal government in the intelligence agencies? The answer is 100% yes. Why? Because McCabe said so. That members of the intelligence agency fear Donald Trump, think they'll be jailed, and are planning to flee the country. This is just, there are potential suspects, there's opportunity, there is motive, all of those things lined up. Now let's play the conspiracy theory game once again. The New York Times says the guy who was Crooks, a registered Republican, left few clues about his belief. He was a registered Republican anti-Semite who liked Joe Biden. Apparently that's it. Doesn't seem to make much sense at all. Unless the narrative was going to be that Iran, supporting a right-winger with a gun who hated Israel because he was far right, you see, that's the narrative that I think they were aiming for. It was a Nikki Haley Republican. Maybe not Nikki Haley. She likes Israel. It was a far right. I wouldn't be surprised, to be completely honest, if they were going to try and frame Groypers. And I mean this legitimately. A young white male, right-leaning, hating Israel, and Donald Trump says he's going to support Israel. Iran backed, gave him intelligence and access to funds. Where did he get the money for the weapon? Iran. They would have said that he was an anti-Semite Republican. We got to ban the guns and we got to go to war. But Trump, for the grace of God, tilted his head and the bullet hit him in the ear. It would have been very, very scary should he have actually lost his life. But I'll tell you this, my friends. They're saying it's a conspiracy theory. Groundless claims. It's their political narrative. Time and time again, we've observed a disturbing feedback loop between lawmakers and online conspiracies, said Nina Jankowicz, a disinformation expert. Oh, we all remember her, don't we? Our elected officials should be holding themselves to a higher standard, sharing verified information, not dealing in speculation that could inflame and endanger more Americans. Perhaps you should have taken your own advice, and Democrats could have taken your advice, perhaps during Trump's first term, when y'all accused him of being a spy working for Vladimir Putin since the 80s. No joke. MSNBC ran a segment claiming that Donald Trump may have been a Soviet traitor. I'm not kidding. So the Soviet Union's gone, but they were like, since the 80s, Trump may have been working with the Soviet Union. Yeah, maybe follow your own advice. But I'll tell you this, you're allowed to speculate. We've been given no official story. So speculate away. Speculate away. You know, I just feel like it's obvious. In an era where Ron Paul, RFK Jr. are publicly stating it's the CIA that killed JFK and RFK. We're no longer playing this game where we're just going to act like we're morons. And I will say this to all the Republicans: respect to Eli Crane for actually asking the questions, but be a little more direct with it, because I will. I got no problem. The official story makes no sense. Within a day, we are like, this makes no sense. You've got no official story. You can explain away nothing. So I will say it one more time. What we think we know based on the press. The shooter snuck in to a controlled area in full knowledge of the counter snipers. They did nothing. Counter snipers knew they had a rangefinder and was gauging the distance between where he's at and the stage. They did nothing. He flew a drone. What? They did nothing. Next question. Where did he get the gun from? Well, we know they say he bought it from his dad, but where was it? It was collapsible, they say. So it was like a folding stock that he had hidden in his jacket, or what? Because he didn't seem to be wearing one. So where did it come from? Why did they claim that they didn't see him until after the first shot, when he was now seen in video running across the roof? And regular people saw him and were screaming, hey, that guy's got a gun. I'm sorry, but your official story, I should say this, your conspiracy theory, coincidence theory, I suppose it is. It's the Rube Goldberg of assassination attempts. Just like he's sitting down and the guy's like, hey, that's weird. That guy's got a rangefinder and he's gauging the distance between here and the stage. It's fine to me. Huh? We're supposed to believe that? So Trump recently at a rally brought up the woman who saved his life. That's what he said. She saved my life. Come here. And then she comes up, and this young woman is the one who turned on the display for Trump to look at. And he turns his head, and that was it. The bullet would have went straight into his eye, but he went like this instead and tilted his head. Wild. Wild, man. I'm not going to believe any of it, but I will warn you guys of this. Okay, because we'll get into more of this a little bit later. Trump's going to be debating Harris. Kamala Harris's polls are going way up. Look at this. General election civics, Harris is beating Trump by 4. Presidential election chance of winning. July 22nd, it was 64 Trump, 29 Harris. Now it's 54 to 44. Call it the honeymoon period. Call it whatever you want. Do not discount Kamala Harris. There is politicking afoot. So we're going to jump into the next story in just a little bit. But for now, we are going to read your super chats. This next one's quite a bit of a doozy. And let's talk evil, dude. Did you guys see this one? The male boxer who just went boom right in the face of that woman. And she like, whoosh, and then she immediately was like, I quit. You win. I can't do this. And then this guy is like, yeah. Ooh. It's like literally the episode of South Park where the guy is boxing the woman. The woman cried, talked about the grueling training as she struggled to become an Olympic boxer. But it's okay, because you ain't going to beat a guy in a fist fight. We were talking about this last night. It's Olympic domestic abuse. Watch a man pummel a woman. The funny thing is I got the betting odds pulled up for you, and I don't know, dude. Sometimes you can only laugh at the absurdity, but we're going to grab your super chats right now before we jump into that segment. So let's go. Do you guys have any comments? Super chats, super chat away. Once again, smash that like button. You can follow me on X at Timcast as I post weird things and perhaps waste your time, but it's worth it. And also share the show wherever you can on social media. Word of mouth is the best way podcasts grow. The show is also available as the Tim Pool Daily Show on all podcast platforms. You can listen to it in full there at later dates. So spreading the word. I was talking to podcast marketing is always the hardest. And it is wild to me that there's some people who just nail it. iTunes, Spotify, whatever. Timcast IRL and Timcast do like, I don't know, mid-range well. I think Timcast IRL is like, I think last week we were with 119th biggest podcast in the world. And it also depends on like which charting metric you're using. I don't think TimcastNews, the Tim Pool Daily Show, is. However, the Tim Pool Daily Show, before I started IRL, was getting like 3 or 4 times the views, and then it split the audience with IRL, so that probably was a negative impact. But it was at one point like the 34th biggest podcast in the world, so that was cool. But it is a challenge. I guess when we do our show principally on YouTube with a video component, people just watch on YouTube. But, it is what it is. Let's grab some super chats. Jason Dixon says, please consider having Travis with real estate mindset on as a guest. The economy is about to implode in the housing market. This guy knows a lot. I've been looking at it. We have properties out where we are that were $300,000 a year and a half ago. And we were looking at them. We were like, you get a 2 acres of land and a 1,700 square foot house for $300K. Those houses, they're 500 to 600 now. And I'm just like, no way I am buying that. That's crazy. B-Man says, notice they showed no emergency vehicles taking the victims. Interesting. What have we here? Halo News says, Tim, will you watch the Skibbity Toilet movie and TV show when it comes out in the future? No. The Skibbity Toilet stuff is like weird absurdity, and I find it funny, but like, I'm not going to watch it. I don't know. The first one's funny. I'm not your buddy guy says, sucks when the unfortunate reality kicks in and you realize just how evil people can be, especially to cover up their misdeeds. One thing's certain, people will be locked up regardless of 2024 outcome. Only difference is who. You know what, my friends? The important lesson to understand is the left figured this out a while ago, and that is that they believe there is no truth but power. And it's not a world that I want to live in. I want to live in a moral world with honesty and fairness. But you also got to understand that only applies to the people who also agree with you. As many people pointed out, the founding fathers believed that this country could function so long as people shared this moral framework. Predominantly Christian, though some of them were deist, but almost entirely Christian. Of course it was. It is funny that the left tries to say they weren't Christian. Some of them were atheists. And I'm like, maybe, but like, this country was 90 plus, like 99% Christian up until till only the past several decades. Secularism started to rise up. And even then, like even Bill Maher's moral framework is Christian. But I will tell you this, something you must understand. There is no world where you will unify the people. There is a world where evil can be suppressed, and there's a world where goodness can be suppressed. The Soviet Union is an example of when good people are suppressed and evil reigns, and it's terrifying. The early days of the United States show you what happened when the good succeeds. We could see the expansion of civil rights, the end of slavery. Good was winning across the board. And what is good? It is what helps to expand life and organization. That's my view. Creation, protection. Destruction makes sense only in some areas, like a building is about to collapse. The amount of destruction could be maximized if that building collapsed, so you collapse it first. You tear it down. The destruction serves a greater purpose. But what we're trying to do is produce more than we are destroying. Unfortunately, the reality is there will always be evil people. They will always lie about you. And the goal is to simply win the game. Be the honorable individual with integrity and capability. That's why I say get fit, exercise. By November, y'all should be in shape. Because the point is, you want to be the best version of yourself because evil cheats. And that's the game. Let me tell you. Let me tell you the quick story here about what's going on with where we live, Berkeley County, West Virginia. So, look, I got like 1.2 something million subscribers. This news doesn't matter all that much. I was surprised when I made a video about the skate park. It got more than 500,000 views. Even old ladies are watching it, being like, I'm an old lady and I have no idea what this is about, but I'm going to watch it anyway. So we try to invest in a local skate park. We buy the land where there is a local skate park. Tell the skaters, like, do your thing. We were trying to buy land. Here, quick version. I offered 20 grand to skaters in my town. Martinsburg is where we have our coffee shop building and where we are looking to expand. And we offered $20,000 to an organizationless street contest. And they threatened violence against me. Physical removal if I try to skate in the city where I own property, where my employees live, and where we run our business. The reason I don't live in it, I live just outside of it. We're in Berkeley County. It's like living in the suburbs, I guess, but it's a small city anyway. And so we were trying to buy property. We get a guy coming up to us screaming at us, saying he's the sheriff, it's his. Crazy. It's like I live here, right? And then our employees live here and skate here every day. After we bought it, we're now finding out that some of those guys went and destroyed portions of the skate park on the property that I bought. And now you've got leftists going on YouTube, lying about it. You've got, because they're evil. No question. They're saying things like, I've banned them, never banned anybody. They're saying, so after he bought it, someone came and destroyed it. And then it turns out they're like, well, actually, that was our friend who did it. They did it because they were mad at Tim Pool. This is it. You cannot deal with evil. You've got this guy on YouTube, Gifted Hater. This is the evil scourge. And there's only one way to win. There is no jumping into the mud with these people because they're just evil. The point is succeed, be stronger, be better, make more money, build more influence. And that's it. And then they don't matter. But the problem is they will always lie. They will always rally people behind them. And unfortunately, many of these people fall for it. In the bigger picture, we're talking about Republicans versus Democrats. We got a guy in Silicon Valley who just came out. He's like a PayPal guy saying, I was duped by Democrats. I genuinely thought that they cared about people. They don't. They care about power. And the Republicans were the ones who were actually trying to help people. Surprise, surprise. Now, that wasn't always true. Certainly wasn't true in the 2000s. And then something started to change around the Trump era when the populist influence came up around the internet. You will find that these people who align themselves with the left are lying, cheating, and stealing. It's really remarkable, too. I'm just like, why do they make this stuff up? For power. Just that's it. That's it. Apparently, the funny thing is, because they post online things like, if I ever see Tim Pool, I'm going to do this, that, or otherwise. And then I'm like, I skate around all the time. And they're like, oh, hey, what's up? And they fist bump me. That's the craziest thing that'll blow your mind. That they go online, they go on like this YouTube guy, Gifted Haters and YouTube channel, and they'll say things like, yeah, that guy's not welcome here. We won't skate with him. I see him in person. They walk up and they give me a fist bump. They're just all fake. You know, I think the big lesson for me around evil was when someone I had known for like 10 years, who I used to skate with every single day, and I consider to be one of my best friends, but I hadn't seen him in a few years, realized because he knew me, he could lie about me and attack me to get followers for himself on social media. It didn't work, but it was a really crazy thing to see. And I'm like, why is homie attacking me? The last time I saw him, it was one of those sad things where it's like, we'll skate again, bro. I'll see you around. And then I ended up moving to the north side. And then, you don't really see him. There's that meme where it's like, sad meme. It's like the year is, 2005. You're hanging out with your friends. You just ordered a couple pizzas, some wings. You got a couple liters of Mountain Dew. You're playing split screen first person shooters. You play all night. You're laughing and joking. Pizza wraps up. It's about 1 or 2 a.m. You grab your stuff and say, all right, guys, I got to go to bed. We'll play again soon. And that was the last time you ever play with them, and you didn't even realize it. It's sad, right? There's another one where it's like, one day you picked up your son for the last time, and you didn't realize it would be the last time. And that's true. And there's a funny story to that where a guy is like, my dad walked up to me. He's like, I'm 24. My dad walked up and lifted me up and then put me down. And I was like, Dad, what are you doing? And he's like, I just read this thing that said, one day you picked up your son for the last time, or your child for the last time, and you didn't realize it, so he decided to go pick him up. He just lifts up his 24-year-old son to be like, I'm the dad. But that story about playing video games with your friends, it's brutal. And then I tweeted it out, and people are like, oh, like my heart. The last time you and the boys got together to play some Halo or something, you know what I mean? And that's what it felt like. This dude and I were skating. I remember I'm riding up, nollie nose going, fist bump, boom. He backs out 180 the stair set. I'm like, this guy, man, we go skate together. And then I was like, all right, dude, hit me up later. We'll skate. And then time gets away from you. And you've got other priorities. And you get a job. And you're busy on the weekends. And then you're focused on your relationship. And then you just didn't see the guy. And then he's on the south side, I'm on the north side, and we just didn't skate. And then one day, 15 years later, he goes online and starts making things up, insulting me, attacking me, lying about, and I was just like, I've only ever had fun with you as one of my best friends, but that's evil. And then I realized this guy was never really my friend. It was just a convenience for him. And that's probably why we stopped hanging out. And that's the nature of evil, man. That's the nature. All right, let's go. Eli Betakovic. Hey, Tim, did you hear yesterday that there was an appeal deal? It was a plea deal for one of the 9/11 terrorists. I believe it was more than one, wasn't it? What happened to not negotiating? That's right. And I think the funny point people are making is like, you got these January 6ers in prison, some without charges for years, and you're cutting deals with 9/11 terrorists. But I think the wild thing is that there's a lot of people now in the voting age. They don't know it. They weren't alive before 9/11. They don't know what it was like during. And that's the reality of life and always will be. That the lessons of the past are lost on the young. They don't experience it. And experience goes a long way. Let's grab a couple more. Excuse me. What have we here? JRG Project says, and the Secret Service, add the Secret Service to the list of agencies that need to have severe, excuse me, reform. If allowed, they could plunge this nation into another Venezuela. That nation is currently on fire after their election. Indeed, it is. Daniel says collapsible stock is just a typical adjustable stop. It's a non-point, I believe, that will be used to push for the gun control point, i.e. bump stock. Right. So you just like the adjustable stock, you can grab it, pinch the lever and pull it out and push it in. Is that what it is? I'm not a big gun guy. I've got guns, but I'm not a big gun culture guy. You got to defer to Brandon Herrera or Hickok 45. Good channel. I love that channel. Some say it's the best. That's just what I've been told. All right. What do we have here? Alec Morales Ortiz says, hey, Tim, saw reports of an American aircraft carriers allegedly going nearby Venezuela and that Venezuelan government flew foreign forces in Wagner. Could that lead to something or fake news? There's been some budding conflict with Venezuela for a while now, but hard to know for sure, man. The one thing I will tell you is that it's entirely possible the narratives we're getting from the media that we even think are counter narratives are in fact not. That all the stuff we're getting out of the Trump assassination story may be intentionally released to create the narrative of government involvement because it destabilizes government. Who knows? I will tell you this. What I think makes more sense is that you can't plug every leak. And we see the corporate press trying to push false narratives, but they can't plug every leak. So discerning individuals are able to piece the truth together by checking the sources, watching videos. And when you look at how they lie about Trump with edited video, and then you get the full video, you know the corporate press is lying and you have the truth. Let's jump to this story. We're going to have fun with this one. From the Telegraph, female boxer has nose broken by opponent who failed gender test during brutal 46-second fight. What I really love about the story is that I was checking the sports betting pages after this happened, and this literally happened just this morning because, you know, they're further ahead in Paris. And they really tried to avoid saying it was a male punching a female. I'll give you the quick version. Karini, female, fighting Imane, or Imani, I don't know how to pronounce it. Female versus male. The fight starts. The male, boom, right in the face. And she immediately goes, nope, nope. And she goes back. She goes to her corner. The story, as I understand it, because the video doesn't show it, it clips it. She talks to her corner. They say, go back in and fight. She goes back in and then immediately stops, turns around and says, no way, I can't do this. She gave an interview where she basically said, I've never been hit so hard in my life. I'm clearly overpowered, and I'm going to be mature and say this fight is over. Congratulations to the male. Bravo on slugging that woman in a boxing match. Wow, you really proved how great you are at fighting by punching a woman in the face and winning whatever amount of money you're going to win. Apparently, Alex Stein, who's been advocating that people bet on the men in the sporting events, said that if Imane wins gold, he's going to get paid. But I got news for y'all. The betting odds. So I saw this yesterday, 2 days ago, because I was actually, I covered this story before the fight happened, and the betting odds were minus 150. That meant that if you bet $100, you'd win $66 on top. You'd get a total payout of 166. That ain't bad. But eventually the odds dropped down to minus 3,000 when sane, rational humans were like, I think the guy's going to win. And the guy won. Granted, it's a forfeit, so I don't know. Some people may have bet on forfeiture. That's also a good bet. Here's the story from Telegraph. Female boxer has nose broken by opponent who failed gender test. Oh, yeah? The controversial fight between Imane Khalif, the Algerian boxer who failed a sex test like last year's World Championships, and Italy's Angelique Carini has been abandoned after just 46 seconds after the Italian suffered a suspected broken nose. I do think I've got the video for you here. A couple of videos. Let's see if I can play the. Here's her statement. Here's a picture of her crying after she was beat. She was punched in the face by a man. Let's play this clip for you guys. I don't think her nose is broken. So there you can see that she got hit by the guy, raises her fist. Boom. And then she's just done. She's like, no. Clobbered. Hearing her tell her story is really, really sad because she's saying, like, the training was incredibly difficult. She calls the match. She forfeits. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. I know you're disgusted, but I'm disgusted with her coach. Are you kidding me? You know what, man? Maybe it's all one big experiment. Like, did anybody think, and I want to stress this too, the Algerian boxer, I think this is important, is reportedly not even trans, okay? This is not a story of a trans woman boxing women, which is the typical thing. This is a story of a biological male who is in every way male, but got a female passport to compete in the Olympics as a woman. And that's the only distinction so far that I've seen reported. Maybe I'm wrong. But my understanding is this is not a trans woman in any traditional capacity. It's literally just a guy who says, I'm going to box as a woman. And they said, you got it. Good to go. Did Karini's coach really think that she's 6 inches shorter? Did he really think she was going to be able to box a man and win? Did he really think that? They say this fight had already denoted ferocious controversy with the International Olympic Committee under mounting pressure to explain how a woman could be allowed into a boxing ring unsure of the sex of the person she was facing. Unsure? Khalif was banned from competing in a gold medal bout in Delhi by the International Boxing Association, who said the fighter's elevated levels of testosterone failed to meet the eligibility criteria. And yet she was still permitted by the IOC to fight at these Olympics. And the difference in power was clear from the beginning, with the Italian taking a punch to the face and immediately walking to her corner to signal she would not carry on. Do we have this? Oh, yeah, that's right. The Italian prime minister has spoken out. Gracious in defeat. Continuing, Carini said the following about her controversial opponent. I wish her to carry on until the end and that she can be happy. I am someone who doesn't judge anyone. I am not here to give judgments. Khalif has spoken briefly herself, saying, I'm here for the gold. I fight everybody. Okay, so what had happened was this Imani Khalifa Imain, whatever the name is, had undergone gender testing at the World Championships. And they were like, this is an XY chromosome individual and not a woman. So you cannot box women. But the Olympics were like, I don't know, it says F on the passport, so it's a she. I didn't have fear. I don't fear the ring. I don't fear taking the blows. But this time, there's an end for everything. I wasn't able to finish the match. I felt a strong pain to my nose, and I said to myself, for the experience that I have and the maturity as a woman that I have, I hope my nation won't take it badly. I hope my dad won't take it badly. But I stopped. I said, stop for myself. It could have been the match of a lifetime, but I had to preserve my life as well in that moment. I want to express my utmost disdain for this woman for saying I wish her to carry on and that she can be happy. Dude, people come to me and they say, Tim, it's not her fault. Why are you... What do you mean? I hope her happiness and I hope she carries on. Why? So that she... Okay, look, man. It's not like I've actually done any gender testing on this stuff. I'm telling you about what the reports are. The reports are it's a male. It's a biological male. You keep saying she. There's no reporting to indicate this individual is transgender. And I mean that sincerely. And I'm the guy, I'm getting criticism from the right because I'm friends with Blair White. They're like, Blair White's trans and we don't accept that. And I'm like, well, I like Blair. Blair's cool. Blair gets all my respect. She, her pronouns, the whole shebang. Because I'm a liberal, I guess. This is a story about a biological male who is by no means transgender in any discernible way, according to any reporting. It's literally just a male who says, I'm here for the gold. I'm going to fight everybody. And you're like, she hopes she does well. Okay, well then I'm glad you lose. I am glad that you lost, Karini, and I revel in your tears. Because if you support this, then this is what you... Then I've got nothing to say. I will say it now, I will say it again, and I will say it tomorrow. To the people that are like, Tim, no, you can't... Listen, I'm for equality. If a female boxer wants to fight a man, she is allowed to do it. And if she supports this in Olympic boxing, then I'm not going to feel sorry for her. Oh, I'll pity her ignorance. I'll laugh when she loses. But come on, let me tell you this. If there was a woman who came out and she was like, women are just as strong as men. I could beat any man. And then a guy came up and said, I'm a man. I'll fight you. And they fought. Are you going to be like, that poor woman, I'm so sorry for her? You'd be like, of course she was going to lose. She chose this. That's what I'm talking about. When Venus and Serena Williams said that there was like a famous story where they were like, we could be any man ranked 200 or lower. And then some guy who was ranked like 230 or whatever was like, I'll beat you in tennis. And then he shows up drunk and drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and he beat them both. Are we like the poor Williams sisters? They had no, I'm like, well, okay, well, they wanted to do this. I'll criticize the IOC. They should not be allowing this. But she is coming out saying, I support you. Please continue. Some other woman who doesn't want to fight is going to get punched in the face. Now, for any woman in general who goes through this, my first reaction is this is wrong. They shouldn't allow it. But now I'm being told after Karini praises the male for beating her, punching her in the face, I'm supposed to defend her? Why? She got what she wanted. This is what I don't understand. Conservatives got to stop doing this. I was talking about this last night, and here we go with a perfect example. Democrats vote for crime. I'm not being cute. I'm saying they literally vote for crime. A Democrat comes out and says, we should be releasing criminals from prisons. And they go, yeah, I'm going to vote for that. Then the criminal gets released, punches a woman in the face in New York, and then I'm like, am I supposed to feel bad? I don't get it, okay? I do not understand. If a guy came to me and says, I'd like to juggle, and I went, okay. And then he started juggling bowling pins. I'd be like, congratulations. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm so sorry for you that you juggled. You did exactly what you wanted. You got everything you hoped for. I'm so sorry for you. Conservatives always do this. I feel bad for you that the thing you wanted happened. What? The thing you wanted happened. Okay. Let's read some more and then I'll go through the betting odds because the betting odds are the best part of this story. Viewers left in the dark. Our man on the ground, Oliver Brown, was keeping us well informed, but for the TV viewers, there was absolutely no mention of why Imane Khalif's presence is so polarizing. It's a guy. Georgia Maloney reacting to this fiasco so quickly really demonstrates how contentious it is. Follow her reaction, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. They say, so we're going back in time here with these updates. The fight I've been trying to between Angela Carini and her Algerian opponent shows what happens when gender ideas are taken to extremes, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said. I've been trying to explain for years that when taken to the extreme, some of these risks impacting women's rights. I think that athletes who have male genetic characteristics should not be admitted into women's competitions, not because we want to discriminate against anyone, but in order to protect the right of female athletes to be able to compete on equal terms. 46 seconds into the fight, she quits. And I'll tell you this. Carini was probably told to say, I hope her happiness and I hope she continues. I wish her to carry on until the end and that she can be happy. Yeah, but if you actually watch the video, which I'm wondering if they have, Carini pulls her hand away from the ref. The Khalif comes over and tries to pat her in the back and she like nudges her away. Clearly upset. She knows she's fighting a guy and she's pissed off about it, but publicly, she would throw everyone else under the bus. Gracious in defeat. I won't judge someone. Okay. Everyone's telling me stand with Angela Carini. She's got to stand with herself first. When she pulled her hand away from the ref, I was like, yes, make that statement. Reject this. Say, I refuse. And then what? She comes out and says, no, Khalif should keep fighting. All right. Well, I'm taking a look at the betting odds, and I don't know, 3% is 3%, right? That's the betting odds. Libs of TikTok posts, try not to cry. Angela Carini talks about competing in the Olympics for her late father. She just quit her boxing match after being forced to compete against a man. Allowing men in women's competitions is evil. Democrats support it. In this video, she says that it was her dad, and he was cheering her on, and she's crying. She was talking about how the training was so intense and it was so difficult, but she had to do it. She did it for her dad. So I felt tired, but I had to do the last kilometer. We say the last mile. And then I tell you this, by all means, empathize, sympathize, whatever you want to say. But she is now defending the male boxing females who will do it because I've got the, I believe I have the, where is this? Do I not have it pulled up? Oh, I guess I don't have it pulled up. The next fight. Oh, there it is. I do have it. Yeah. Khalif to be determined in the Saturday, August 3rd quarterfinals. So basically what we're seeing is Carini condemning the next woman. Sorry. I'm not going to support you in this one. You will condemn the next woman to be battered by a male in public at the Olympics and suffer what you suffered. Y'all could protest. I'll tell you what I would do. You want to know what I'd do? I'm not a woman, so this circumstance could never happen. But if I was Carini and they said, go into the boxing ring, the fight's going to happen, I would put my hands behind my back and I would stand perfectly still and I would not move. I would not guard. I would not put my hands up. Or I think they might require you to before the fight starts. I'd immediately put them down and I'd put them to the side. Put my hands behind my back. I wouldn't fight. I'd say, no, you can win. Yeah, but you're going to have to beat me defenseless. I'll tell you this too. If you don't believe me, I was on Tucker Carlson several years ago because when I was in Boston, an Antifa guy started threatening me. I quite literally did that. Now, granted, I was filming, so I kept one hand up and I just tightened my abs and said, okay, as the guy was swinging at me, trying to make me flinch or whatever, but he didn't hit me. And I was like, come on, do it. I don't play these games. For her to come out and say she should keep going, dude, I'm not playing that. Not interested. As she sits here crying, I feel for her. I saw this. I feel for her. But for her to come out later and be like, this is a story that went viral yesterday. Female volleyball player 17 left paralyzed with brain damage by transgender opponent who cackled with delight after knocking her to the ground. It's an old story from a couple of years ago. Yeah. She still suffers brain damage. She has a frequent loss of balance, so she can no longer compete because a male player spiked a volleyball full force. I believe they said it was maybe about 70 miles an hour, hitting her directly in the face, knocking her back, shutting her down, leaving her paralyzed. Partial paralysis on the right side of her body. Why are women saying, no, keep competing? Well, this woman's not. Riley Gaines is not. Taylor Silverman is not. They're the ones that are actually speaking out. I support them 100%. But Karina's going to come out and say, continue, go for it. I don't judge. Condemn the rest of women, why don't you? All right, my friends. Well, take a look at this. This is olbg.com. Most of the... Oh, this is so funny. This is the best part of the story. So 2 days ago, I pulled up the betting odds for Karine Khalif. And it was minus 150. And I'm like, really? Minus 150? I put $100 down. I could clear $66? That's crazy. And I mentioned this the other night. And a lot of people were saying that in reality, once people figured out it was a guy versus a woman, the betting odds went down to minus 2,500. Oh, man. Well, so take a look at this. This is olbg.com. I'm not familiar. When you try and pull up the odds for that fight on all the other sites, it's gone. People are now reporting that future betting has disappeared and you can't make bets. I don't know if that's true, though, because they've not determined who Khalif is going to be fighting. So it could be anybody, and they're not going to give odds until they know for sure. But look at this one. This one's really funny. This individual tipster. I'm going to give Emaine Khalif the edge here. She made the quarterfinals in the last Olympics 2021. Angela Carini got knocked out in the eighth what is that? Eighth finals? I don't know. Octo finals. Look at the odds. 1.03. Now, those are not the odds we use in the United States. We use the American odds, which is negative odds or positive odds. So, what does it mean if the odds are 1.03? It means that if you bet $100, you will win $3. You risk $100 to win $3. Is it really worth it? It's not worth it. It just isn't. Alex Stein makes the joke. He's like, you got to bet on these men to win and you're going to get money. Come on, man. $100 wins me a $3. I'd have to bet $100,000 to try and win $3,000. It's just not there. 3% return. I'd rather just put the $100,000 into stock because you're likely not going to suffer that much of a loss. Look, you bet $100,000 on Emaine Khalif, and then let's say Khalif is just like, what are the odds at? Minus 3,000. Whispers to their friend, put $100,000 on me to lose. And then they lose. Cha-ching, baby. What is this one? I think they had Carini was at 10. Wow. That means if you bet $1, you won $10. $10. You bet $1,000, you won $10,000. Now that's a heck of a return. Minimal risk for a lot of reward. I just love it. So we pull up these other odds, and you can see like odds typically like 1.83. I think the way that works is basically you bet $1, you win $1.83. 4.33, you bet $1, you win $4.33. And you can see there are some odds are just no good, no good. France women, you win 5 cents on the dollar. It's just some things are just real bad, real bad. They really, really don't give you good odds because we expect these teams to lose. But welcome to the modern sporting arena, I suppose. So I'm trying to figure out when the next fight's going to be because I actually think I want to make the bet because it'll be funny. Because I'll bet $100 and win $3, and then I'll screenshot it and be like, "Hey, I won $3." Then you've got the idea of the value bet. Like $1 wins me $10. It might be worth betting $100. Like, yeah, you only lose $100, but you might win $1,000. That's not bad. So as we can Olympic boxing, let's go. What are the odds? Bets. No, I don't know that they have it up just yet because I think this is relatively new. So we'll see. I'm gonna take a look into this, and then we'll see if we can make that bet. I just want to stress, guys, for the F's in chat, that is not on my end, but I am recording this. For those that are watching live, the stream just went down, but once again, that's on YouTube's end. Did they get mad at me? I wonder if YouTube took the stream. YouTube may have taken the stream down. No, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, I suppose we'll just wrap this segment up there as the live stream is stuttering. But for everybody who is watching this clip, Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Head over to timcast.com. Join us, become a member. The next segment will be coming up at 4 p.m. And thank you for hanging out. You can follow me on X at Timcast, and we'll see you all then. And in the meantime, is it back? People are saying that it's back. I wonder if there was a... I don't know. People are saying you're still here. We're back. Not on my end. My studio monitor shows that we are completely collapsed, and it's not working. But here's what I will do. Let's jump over here and see if we can get an update on this one and see if the show has begun to work again. Looks like people are saying we are back live, and we are back live, ladies and gentlemen. My studio monitor is not working. There we go. We got it. We're back. All right. So we have this cool system that we set up, and I guess it's been around for a long time, but you can actually make it so that if YouTube goes down, the show stops, and for all of you watching at home, as soon as the connection restarts, it actually saves the whole video and you don't miss a beat. So this actually happened on IRL. We went down and I was like, oh, we're down. We'll have to figure it out. Because normally that show just erases like that portion. And this time what ended up happening was our buffer system worked. And so when the show dropped, it picked right back up without a miss. So still says live. Yeah, I took a look at the upcoming odds. You know, we'll see what we can get to, and we'll get ready for the next story here. Look at this. This one's all good fun, isn't it? Let's see what we got next up. Now, just as an aside, this is when is the next fight. I'm gonna check the odds as soon as I wrap. I want to. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this one. Olympic triathlon athlete vomits after being forced to swim in the polluted River Seine. I'm not gonna play the video, but the dude just. Dude, the Paris Olympics are turning out to be a disaster. An absolute disaster. What it's really like to swim in the sun. I want to talk about what's going on with the Trump at the National Association for Black Journalists because he absolutely roasts them. We've got this masterclass. Trump effortlessly handles hostile questions from black journalists at the conference in Chicago. And they're so mad, but we're going to grab your super chats right now. Let's go. All right. Super Mercer Bros says, my dad dated a chick who tried to game over herself. She still had good function, just missing an eye. Can see exit wound too. Joked about it in many ways. Crazy, man. It's something people should consider when you're dealing with these stories about assassination too, because you'll get a story where it's like a man was found dead of suicide with 2 gunshots to the head. And people are like, how is that possible? Because let's just say you can miss. Probably don't want to get too much into detail because we want to keep it family friendly, but not every attack on someone lands in the brain. I'll put it that way. Let's go. Grab some more super chats here. What have we here? The text vet says, even more so, the view is from the ground. The higher up angle of Secret Service makes it that we didn't see him narrative absolutely insane. And his movements that fast would be 100% grab attention and focus onto him. No question. Easily. Let's go. Oh, let's see. What do we have here? Common Sense Fishing says, Tim, use your own logic regarding 9/11. Building 7, molten steel, and all the facts prior to it being an inside job. 9/11 led to the Patriot Act, which led to all of this. 9/11 was an inside job, just like this. I completely do not agree. That being said, I'd fall for the 9/11. I'd fall into the category 9/11 is more so not sure, don't know. But there's a big difference between what we saw with the Secret Service and what happened on 9/11. And I've had this conversation 50 million times. What I will tell you is this. The government's lied about the official narrative of 9/11. That is completely obvious to anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together. Why? Well, you can start with the actual official government narrative outside of 9/11. The idea that the U.S. government would literally write a book explaining how our security was bypassed, leading to a major catastrophe, is silly. That being said, there's a lot of suspect issues pertaining to 9/11 where individuals did benefit. So the question of inside job, I feel, is interesting, but the statement is too direct. I do not agree with the idea there was an inside job because we don't have enough information pertaining to how it actually went down. I do think it's fair to assess or to speculate as the percentage probability of someone within the government allowing this to happen. Certainly. I don't like the inside job narrative because It's too speculative. And what I would say is, if I was going to gauge the broader possibility of someone within the government it being involved in 9/11, it could be as small as a single individual, and it could be as high as the presidency, right? Which I do not believe. I don't think makes sense. In which case, the most likely inside job scenario is going to be probably the smallest percentage of individuals' involvement. And so you're casting a really, really big net for a very small story. I'd prefer to say there's a decent probability of an internal criminal element to some degree involvement in 9/11 that we don't know. But ultimately, I don't know. I just don't like the blanket statements. Anybody who comes out, and I know the media and the left will lie and say Tim Pool is a truther or whatever. No, what I'm telling you is, if you really believe that the government told us 100% of what happened on 9/11, like, I got a bridge to sell you. They literally can't. It's called classified information. That's just basic facts. So we don't know. I certainly don't trust their narrative, and I think something's fishy about everything that went down. But I don't like going so far as to be like 9/11 was an inside job. Nah. I don't play that. That one's tough. Maybe in 70 years we might learn. Maybe we never will. The thing about Trump and the assassination attempt is that it involves very, very, very few actors. And there is no official story. It's not set up very well at all. And so they have nothing. Let's go. Let's read some more. What have we here? The McGlone Code says Tim's Trump impression has gotten better over the years. Haha. Well, I will tell you this. It was really hard for me to figure out. And then I got to a point where I think I had a really good Trump impersonation, but I've intentionally caricaturized it to make it different. You know, there was a period where I was like trying really hard to nail the Trump impersonation. Since then, I've actually tried to make it more cartoony for to like differentiate. The point being, when I do an impression of Trump, it's meant to be silly. So make it a little sillier than it needs to be, as opposed to just trying. Because Trump doesn't always talk like that. Trump might talk like this and say, well, quite frankly, you know what I mean? So, but there's several keys to it. The exhaling, the nasally portion of it, the rasping voice, and we know. But I'll overdo the nasally, and that's just it. All right. Uki says, "Hey Tim, have you seen Sorcery TCG cards? Awesome. I haven't. I'm just not a fan of most of the new card games. I just don't think they understand. Magic got something really correct, and they've tried to fix it, and it's a great system. It's the first trading card game ever made, and they've done a pretty good job." Barely a Millennial says, apparently the Italian government tried to get the IOC to stop this farce. Wonder how this will affect the Winter Olympics due to being held in Italy. Oh, dude, yes. They're going to be like, nope. Ain't happening. The McGlone Code says, breaking, Russia agrees to free Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan in multi-country prisoner swap. That was big breaking news. Not in the roster of segments, but so glad you brought it up. There's not much more to say. It's a prisoner swap, and they're going to be releasing these individuals, and the left is cheering on Joe Biden for having done it. Okay, I don't know. Credit to Biden. I don't know the finer details. I got no problem saying that the Biden administration was able to get this guy back. That's cool. Trump said he'd be the only one who could do it. Clearly not. But I don't know that it matters all that much. Glad to see. All right, let's go. The text vet says she's not American, she's Italian. You are calling for her to make the statement, but what happens to these people if they make that stand in Italy? Prison, money stolen, unalived by someone? It's not the same. You're American. Don't care. I'm not running for office. And I'll say it again and again. I'm not here to pander or make friends. I would say shove off. I don't know, man. Riley Gaines did. And I know Italy's got these things. Look, she doesn't need to come out and say, I despise these people. They're all bad. She could just say, it's unfair. I reject this outright. And the prime minister did. So just say it. Or say nothing. Man. But to be like, no, carry on. I wish you the best. Keep fighting. Spare me. Adam says, Tim, you should invite Kevin Ham, CEO of the Ark Encounter and Ark Encounter and Answers in Genesis in Kentucky for Culture War for Christianity and Science. There's only two genders. God created male and female. That'd be really, really awesome. I would love to have him and a simulist. This is what we got to do. I got to hit up Lisa and say, I'm going to do this right now, actually. Let's get a Christian theologian and a simulist. Simulation theory. I'm actually texting this right now. We need a Christian theologian. Theologian. Is that the word? And a simulist. No, it doesn't let me put in simulist because it doesn't know that's a word. It changed it to simulist. Simulist is a person who believes in simulation theory, which is funny because it's basically just like rudimentary Christianity. There is an advanced race of powerful individuals who created this universe through computer code, and it's for a purpose. They have simulated us because they're trying to see how we... hold on. I don't see the difference. All right, let's grab one more, and then we'll start reading about Donald Trump effortlessly handling the NABJ. James Johnson says, Tim, you should have on David Schweikert on our rally. He's a bit older, but is a congressman that really knows what's going on with our economy and what needs to be done to fix it. We are talking about we're talking to members of Congress for a big show coming up in a month with a bunch of members of Congress, so this should be really, really fun. Let's see. Uki says sorcery is Magic the Gathering on a checkerboard. Classic MTG artist. Wasn't there also a card game, a digital card game that used a board with terrain? What was that game? I can't remember. It's pretty fun, but it didn't last very long. I don't know. Let's jump into this story, ladies and gentlemen. Masterclass. Trump effortlessly handles hostile questions at Black Journalists Conference in Chicago. And I think this segment, we talked about it last night on Timcast.RL, but it needs to be brought back up because there is some context that needs to be said as it pertains to Donald Trump's appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists. I want to start by playing the opening clip. Now, I really do recommend, I think it's about 40 minutes long. Recommend everybody listen to the full thing. I have not yet listened to the full thing. I've listened to portions of it. And apparently it's so good. Trump doesn't pander. He has no problem pushing back, insulting people, and I respect it. Not everybody will. Some people want to be pandered to. In this, the opening question insults Trump, and there's a lot of context as to why Trump responds the way he does. And there's very important context. You need to understand Trump is completely correct. These people were horribly rude to him, and it goes beyond just the question. So I will stress this again. I'm going to play the opening question for you. Trump gets offended by it and then speaks, but I'm going to explain to you exactly why Donald Trump was correct and give you the context as to his answer. Because a lot of people are like, oh, Trump should have responded to the question. He should have used the opportunity. No. We're going to play the clip and listen to this.
Not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
Some people are laughing,
ABC?
they're gasping.
I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And
they're wooing, like, woo!
I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
Clapping.
Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you could answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe that black voters should trust you with another 4 years.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
So Donald Trump has impressed a lot of people. I mean, I'm not going to speak for the black population. I don't know. Me, how I see it is I respect that he's not going to try and pander like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But let me give you the context here. Donald Trump was supposed to appear at the National Association of Black Journalists with Joe Biden. They were both going to be there, and it was going to be almost like a debate. Biden, of course, is gone, doesn't come. Then Kamala, they say she's going to come. And then it doesn't happen. So it's nothing. Not a debate, just Donald Trump showing up. They can't get their equipment to work. They're a half an hour late, and Donald Trump stayed. I would not have. I got to tell you guys. I would not have. Not only that, but as Trump pointed out, the greater context, they said it's not possible to do this over the internet. We want to do this in person. And he says, okay, Kamala Harris is now apparently going to satellite call in to the NABJ, but they told Trump he couldn't do it. So I want you to understand this. I have a rule in business, and maybe you don't have this rule. Maybe the rule that I will tell you now is simply just about power dynamics in negotiating process in business. If I set a deadline, if we have a schedule, and I will give you 5 minutes, because I approach this logically. People make mistakes. Pencils have erasers. But I give you 5 minutes. If we are supposed to be set up at 9:58 a.m. So prior to this, you're setting up, you're getting microphones ready, everything's supposed to be working. At 10 a.m., I'm going to be sitting down in front of a bunch of people talking. If by 10 a.m. you have not sorted out, I will go to them and say, 5 more minutes, and I'm going to leave. Now, hold on. I'm not unreasonable. If they say it might take us 7 to 10 minutes, I'll say, okay, I'll give you 10. In most instances, when I have a business phone call or a meeting, if I show up to a restaurant and I sit down and it's a 10 a.m. brunch meeting or something, 10 a.m. comes around, nobody's there, I say, okay, the countdown begins. Because if you don't have the time to commit, then neither do I. I understand pencils have erasers. That's why if I'm supposed to meet someone in person at 10 a.m. and I get a phone call and they say, I'm really sorry, I'm running late. So sorry about this. Traffic, I will be there as soon as I can. I say, okay. And then I will wait 10 minutes. Just try to be reasonable. But I tell you, most of the time, I'll have someone say, hey, we're going to do a meeting at noon. And I'll say, you got it. At 12:05, phone's back on silent. I'm back to work. I'll explain why. I record, we do this show 2 hours in the morning, which before I would record throughout the morning with different segments, but now I'm doing the live show, which increases the amount of recording time from an hour 20 to 2 hours. After this, we've got other shooting schedule. I've got to exercise. I've got to eat. Very little time in the day. We're working on all these projects. The idea that I have time to spare is just not existent. Now imagine Donald Trump. That's just my context. Call me a dick. Call me whatever you want. I think this works out well for me, but by all means, call me a dick. Donald Trump, front runner for the presidency, has places to be, has Secret Service on American taxpayer dime, and agrees to come to this event. And they're a half an hour late. They lied to him about his opponent being there. They're going to let her zoom in, and they can't get it to work. But Trump stayed. And did Trump complain? No. So you know what I would have said? First question, if it were me, if Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, if I invited Kamala Harris to Timcast IRL, who I do not like, I think she's a bad person, got a lot of complaints about her and the things she said, all that and more. If I invited Kamala Harris to Timcast IRL and I said, Trump will be here, it'll be a huge show. And she shows up And she's like, okay, what's the plan? I say, I'm so sorry. Donald Trump has canceled on us. But if you still want to do the show, we've got a seat right here for you, and we will give you the time to speak your mind. And then the cameras break. And she's sitting here for a half an hour. And then finally, we're like, we're good to go. We're live. The last thing I'm going to do is insult her right off the bat. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, Madam Vice President, obviously, I have very strong disagreements with you. I've said disparaging things about you in the past, but I want to thank you and offer my respect for you dealing with our problems. That was our fault, and I respect it. That's what they should have said to Donald. And that's important context, I think. I mean, it's like a lot of people are acting like Trump was bad to be hostile in this way, but to be as gracious as he was with his time and energy, and then to open up by insulting him. And here's the important thing to consider. Let's play these opening statements again.
Not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from.
And that is a statement that requires tremendous context. He's basically saying you've got, and I don't think he's saying, I don't think he referred to all 4 of them. I think he was talking about specifically Ilhan Omar. And he was saying something to the effect of, you don't like it here, you don't like the things that we do, there is a home country that you could have stayed in. The point is not to say leave. The point is to say it's clearly better here. But let's carry on. And for that matter, by all means, tell Trump he was wrong to have said it, but to open this way.
You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys.
So what? So what? Am I immune to being criticized or insulted because of my racial background? That's an absurdity. Trump, my response, if I were Trump, was to say, is there a reason why I'm not allowed to insult someone based on because of their race? Like, I'm not going to insult someone based on their race, but is there this rule that says you're allowed to be a bad person and I'm no longer allowed to criticize you because you are a certain racial background? That's an absurdity. I don't care if you give me a guy who's white, you give me a guy who's black, or give me a guy who's Asian and a guy who's Hispanic, and they all come into my house at the same time and steal my TV, I'm going to call all of them animals. And then you're going to come and be like, how dare you call the black man an animal? I'm like, I called the white guy, the Asian guy, the Mexican guy too. I don't care. You're a criminal. You're a criminal. That's what Trump should have said.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist.
Now, you see what she's doing here? She's saying you attacked black people. No, Trump insulted bad journalists. This idea that you're allowed to be, this is the diversity argument. This is the diversity hire argument. You see what they're saying? You're not allowed to criticize someone if they're black. But what if they're bad at driving cars? Like, what if I hire a race car driver who's bad at it? Should I not be able to say, like, you're a terrible driver? How dare you call a black driver terrible? Well, I don't care about your race, dude. You don't get special protections from criticism. Is that the world that they want to live in?
You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort,
who Kanye West invited and Trump didn't know. Come on, spare me. It's ridiculous.
So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
And then it all comes down to the second statement where Trump is asked about black jobs. And I don't know if they have the video. I think this is it right here. Let me play this clip for you. This is on Post Millennial's website.
I mean, it is not lost on us how to the lines of race come here. What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming
It's so good. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't think it was. But Trump said a lot of the journalists in here are black. He's at the National Association of Black Journalists.
From the border.
So they all start laughing.
Are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is.
I would respond with, what's a black journalist? And one of the great things Trump did was she said, the lady asked Trump, you called Kamala a diversity hire. And he goes, define it. She goes, I did. And he goes like, no, define what diversity, equity, inclusion is. And she's like, I said it. It's diversity, equity, inclusion. And he's like, define it. And she's like, I did. She didn't. But more to the point, she says, what's a black job? I would just go, what's a black journalist? a journalist who's black. Okay, a black job is a job held by a black person. I don't. What are you saying? Like, what is this? You want to be offended at everything for no reason, dude. I like how Trump performed here, and maybe that's not good politics. Whatever. The issue at hand is Donald Trump's not going to earn the votes of most of these people. Many of them, and I'm talking about journalists, but also Trump doesn't poll well with the black community, the black population. They're saying maybe he's at 24%. I doubt it. But Trump's thinking, I'm going to go talk to him. And I respect, he didn't go there and put on a fake accent. He didn't go on there and pander and say, you're completely right. Wow, I shouldn't have done that. And he just said, what? Don't talk to me like that. This guy gave them the time of day. And for what? He didn't know it to them. I respect Trump. I like his attitude. I like that he basically says, you don't get special treatment based on race. Thank you and have a nice day. He's going to insult you if you're a white guy. He's going to insult you if you're a black guy. Because Donald Trump is an equal opportunity hater when he needs to be. And he's a very nice guy. Now, I will tell you this. As many of you know, I am a second generation mixed race individual. Yes. And that Donald Trump had dinner with a white supremacist. And boy, was I so upset. I could not believe it. I was banging on the table screaming, ooh, Donald Trump. And so I interviewed him. And I interviewed him. And Trump said I was great. And he really enjoyed it. And he was looking forward to a longer form interview in the future. If we organize it, we could set it up. And I tell you why. It's because when I interviewed Trump, I respected the things he had done that were positive. I viewed Donald Trump as a net positive president during his time. And when I was at the Libertarian Convention, there were key questions that we were focused on pertaining to Julian Assange. We were talking about, I think the big questions were, of course, war, Julian Assange. And when I talked to a bunch of these libertarian guys who do not like Donald Trump, I said to them, I really think it's important we highlight the North Korea, the crossing of the DMZ by Donald Trump. And the libertarian guys all said that was actually one of the best things he had done. I agree with the libertarian guys. Donald Trump crossed the demilitarized zone into North Korea with no security detail in an effort to bring peace. Do whatever you say. It was because of his ego. I don't care. He did it. I asked him about it. Trump appreciated being asked questions like that. But I'll tell you why I asked it. It's not to butter him up. It's because he did it. And more people need to know he did. If we want to encourage good behavior, we highlight the good behavior and say, this is good. And I pushed him on Julian Assange. Will you pardon him? And Julian Assange is now free. I'm glad the narrative got out there. And I'm glad it was, for whatever reason, whoever did it, it happened here. And I think the Biden administration made the move to release Julian Assange for two possible reasons. The first, they wanted to undermine Trump's talking point that he would consider pardoning Julian Assange. More importantly, though, I think they wanted to make sure that Donald Trump could not leverage intelligence and tell Julian Assange, we'll give you a pardon, but you got to give me some information. They wanted to get Julian Assange out of there before Trump could get in because they're worried he's going to win. But I respect it, man. Libby Emmons said a black journalist attacked Trump for saying black jobs at a black journalist conference. You can't make it up. Yeah, they're just trying to be mad. They're trying to be mad about it. Now, I do think conservatives are making a big mistake with the Kamala. Well, maybe not. A lot of people are saying that Kamala Harris was Indian, but now she's black. And the left response is, yeah, she's biracial. Well, I'll tell you this. Factually, I would say that conservatives are wrong in attacking Kamala Harris because she's talked about being Indian, but now she's black. However, politically, it probably plays well. So I can't tell them that they're politically wrong to do it. Kamala Harris has a video with Mindy Kaling. People are like, Tim, show the video with Mindy Kaling. And Mindy Kaling and her are cooking. And she's like, I'm Indian. You're Indian. Let's cook food. It's like, okay. And then everyone's like, aha, see, she's not black. She's Indian. Like, well, she's both. And she's certainly going to entertain both. So my view of this is, I don't care. I get that some people are saying Kamala isn't actually black, that she's Indian, and that her family were Jamaican by nationality, but were part of the British, colonies. They weren't actually Jamaican black. I don't care. I think the political play from the right may actually work because what they're saying to many people in the black community, that she never embraced this until it became politically advantageous. And the narrative long espoused was that she was actually focused on her Indian heritage. As to she went cooking with Mindy Kaling thing, and I'm like, dude, let me tell you, I eat cheeseburgers, okay? I'll have a shepherd's pie. I will enjoy tea and crumpets. I love the British breakfast with the beans, the mushrooms, the tomato, the blood pudding. I also like bulgogi. And it would be like the stupidest thing if there was a video of me and I'm like cooking some bratwurst or something. I'm also part German and British. And then everyone's like, look, Tim's acting white. And then in another video, I was like, oh, bulgogi. My mom used to make that when I was little. And then they're like, aha, he's only pretending to be Korean because he was white before. And it's like, I am both. I don't care about Kamala Harris and entertaining Indian food and also being black. That being said, politically, it may actually work. So, far be it for me to say, don't play the game, I guess. There's a strong possibility there's going to be a lot of people in the black community who are thinking she's just deciding to play up this identity right now to pander, and she didn't do it before. And they're like, no, she always identified as black. She did. I agree with that. But I think the political play is there's going to be a lot of people being like, as someone who is biracial, she plays whichever card she needs, so she doesn't fully relate to someone. This is something the left says. When you pass, you have a choice, whereas people who don't pass do not have a choice. The argument made by the left in terms of identity politics is that there are people who are black discernibly and they can't choose otherwise. And they experience the world as a black person. Kamala Harris is not one of these people. She could come out and be like, no, I'm Indian actually. And then she could pass. That may actually play. Whatever, though. Shout out to Donald Trump for actually going into hostile territory with journalists who are being rude to him. I respect him for doing it. I like this guy. Far from perfect. There's better candidates. I don't know that Vivek is as funny as Trump, but Vivek's a good guy. And we'll see where things go with 2028. I wonder what's going to be. It was J.D. Vance. And, I thought maybe like Vance Ramaswamy, but Vivek's not a VP kind of guy. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. Next segment will be coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. For the rest of you watching live, we'll grab your super chat. So super chat now. Follow me on X at Timcast and Instagram. And also go to timcast.com, click join us, become a member, and support our work directly. But next segment will be up soon, and we'll see you all then. Let's grab those super chats, ladies and gentlemen. I think we only have a couple more. Johannes Schmidt says John Cooper of Skillet would be a great guest. Great guy. Skillet actually just played out here at the Charlestown races a couple weeks ago, I think. And I saw the flyers for him and everybody had the shirts on. So I should have hit him up at the time. Azalea Primrose says the event was hilarious. He only mocks the one woman who insulted him. The other two he is nice to, at least. Also, do you think Public Square should ask all shops to close on election day so employees can vote? I don't know. I don't know if Public Square should do that. Hard to say. Here you go. White Dudes for Harris raises $4 million. We have, and I was going to show this. I should have showed this because as they were talking about the black journalists, you have this dude point out that the economy is not going well. Inflation has outpaced wages, and these people just lie about it. They lie about it. CNN opinion permanently shutting down. Ooh, boy. Yeah, got a bunch of stories we could go through. What do you guys think? Should we talk about CNN shutting down its opinion section and make fun of CNN? We could also talk about the UN and Delta and United shutting down flights to Israel. Big political news. I don't know. So whatever you guys... Or an athlete vomiting. What do you guys think? We also have White Dudes for Harris, but CNN opinion shutting down is big. I don't know, chat. Let me know what you think, and I'll read a couple more super chats. Bryce Modglin. First time I've ever super chatted. I just saw something on Instagram that had Kamala saying that she wants to remove the Second Amendment within the first 100 days of her presidency if Congress doesn't act. Do you know anything about that? That was, I believe, from the primary in 2019 or so. She said that she wanted to curtail gun rights. Not like literally, she's like, I'm going to do something about gun safety and we're going to have gun control. If they don't act, I'll take executive action. So I don't know that she literally said removing the Second Amendment. That's a little too brazen. Oh, let's see. CNN, no, UN. Looks like more people are saying CNN opinion. Some people are saying UN. Talk about civil war. All right. That one gamer says, I think you'd prefer a chat with inspiring philosophy on a culture war episode. He argues for Christianity based on science philosophy. Easy to reach on X. Best Christian on YouTube, hands down. Let me see what we got in the old, let's see. Let's see. Simulist. I'm trying to book a simulist is someone who thinks we live in a simulation. That'd be interesting. 467 Sprite says, hey, yo, the Huntington Beach Republican HQ was vandalized. Check out Amy from San Diego running against Todd Gloria. She's a patriot prioritizing the border. Wow, crazy. Soapy Enigma says, Vivek and Lake 2028. Also check out the card game Lorcana. It's like Magic Light. Yeah, it's Disney. It's Disney's card game. And the interesting thing about it is that one of the challenges to Magic the Gathering is that you have resource cards and abilities. So lands and spells are basically how it's described. If you shuffle your deck and draw 7 cards to start the game and you get no lands, you lose. So you have to do what's called a mulligan. Let's try again. Every time you mulligan, your percentage chance to win diminishes because there's a penalty for doing so. It's called being mana screwed. There's also mana flooded. You draw 7 cards, it's all land. You're like, I'm going to lose. Because if you don't draw like cards to do things with, you lose. Lorcana, apparently, the cards are all like things, but some of them can be flipped over to be used as resources, which is clever. That way, there's like, it's harder to get screwed out. But Magic the Gathering introduced flip lands, and there are cards that can be are double-sided. So if they're in sleeves, like most players play, you can flip it over and use it as a resource, or flip it over and use it as an ability, which is interesting. All right. Eric says CNN is shutting down their opinion section. Sad to see them completely shut down. Ha, that was a good one. Fair point. Fair point. James Jarvis says, Tim, it would be great to see you use your voice against the abhorrent violence against women in the Olympics. I can only defend those who ask for defense. If a person comes out and says they want to bungee jump, I will say, okay. If a person comes out and says, please, God, help me, I'm being forced to bungee jump, I'll say, hey, leave that person alone. Don't force him to bungee jump. This woman fought a guy, forfeited the match, and I said that was wrong. They shouldn't have done this. I stand with her. And then she came out and said, no, I want this man to keep fighting, and I wish him the best and happiness. I said, oh, okay. Well, then we're good. No beef. No fighting. You got what you wanted. Now, the next woman who fights has your blessing. Okay. Who am I supposed to defend? Nicholas Canada says, bring on Jeff Berwick, the Dollar Vigilante, and Raphael Laverne, the Crypto Vigilante. I know Jeff. That would be fun. He's good friends with Luke, I think. We should bring maybe Luke, Jeff, and someone else on the Culture War. Prince L. Lee N. says, VP Harris doesn't have any black ancestry. I'm a black man in my family, and I find it appalling how Dems keep lying that she's black and forcing it on us. Wow. Well, there you go. All right. Well, let's talk about CNN. I don't know how much there is to say about this. CNN permanently shuts down its opinion section. Just a moment ago on the live portion of the show, we got a great joke where someone mentioned, oh, I'm so sad to see their entire operation shut down. Yeah, because CNN is literally just opinion. They do these things, all the corporate press does, where earlier in the live show this morning, we had a story about the shooter at the Trump assassination. And they wrote a story saying shooter was often one step ahead of Secret Service. But that is an opinion statement. Whether someone's ahead or behind is an opinion assessment. The actual story was text messages released revealing law enforcement knew of shooter's presence early on. That's a fact statement. But the New York Times writes shooter was one step ahead. If the text messages show that they knew he was there, weren't they one step ahead? That's the game. They masquerade opinion as fact. That's the game they play. So it's actually surprising to see CNN shutting their opinion section down, especially considering opinion tends to be the most lucrative portion of any business. Timcast News and Timcast IRL are opinion shows. We show you the news, we try to fact check it, but then we give our opinions. And guess what? Opinions tend to be wrong. Sometimes we're right, often we're wrong, because we're just giving our opinions. But opinion shows make money. Here's a story from the Post Millennial. CNN's opinion section will be permanently shuttered on August 9th. A number of writers were informed on Wednesday via email that the decision had been finalized. The move was first revealed earlier this month, with journalist Claire Atkinson noting on Substack that contributors and the team working behind the scenes together to edit, publish opinion pieces had been told they'd be let go in the coming weeks. So do we have the actual Substack right here? Claire Atkinson, CNN staff told current operations are winding down. It's actually from earlier from last month, actually. Just a quick note to let you know that unfortunately CNN has decided to shut down the opinion section. Opinion editor Hillary Krieger sent in an email per The Hill. I hope our paths cross elsewhere. In a statement to the outlet, a senior executive at the company added that it had made the decision at the beginning of the month to sunset the opinion vertical on CNN.com. As a result, we will no longer have a standalone opinion section. I should actually, I'll pull this up. Let's pull up CNN.com and see where they're currently at. And, they're talking about Paul Whelan being released. Let's shrink this down so we can actually see the website. And opinion. And what do we have here? Let's see what CNN has graced us with as of recent. Project 2025 is coming for our kids too. Why? The director resigned. It's over. There's no Project 2025 anymore. Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day. When did they write this? Before or after the dude resigned? They wrote it yesterday morning. Some jobs should never be done by kids. Project 2025 sees things differently. They're evil. They are mother evil people. This is a lie. And they want to lie to you. What a disgusting, disgusting individual. Okay, so there's the news. They're shutting down. And I want to go back to them lying real quick. They say we'll no longer have an opinion section. The opinion section currently includes articles with titles such as Project 2025 is coming for our kids too, and it's time more horror films push back against queer stereotypes. It's full of pieces that skew left. However, amongst the aforementioned pieces are those with titles such as Why Can't We Give Up on Capitalism and The Downside of Raising the Minimum Wage. Let's read this. What does she mean? They want kids to work. Across the country, some officials, overwhelmingly Republicans, are looking for ways to usher underage workers into potentially dangerous jobs. The far-right playbook, known as Project 2025, goes as far as to propose the Department of Labor rollback regulations, restricting underage workers from taking regulated jobs. On Tuesday, Paul Dans, the director, stepped down. Really? So they know this. The extreme policy agenda proposed by the Heritage Foundation argues that underage teenagers offer an opportunity to fill labor shortages in these hazardous workplaces. These efforts come after years of lobbying. Let me let's dive deep. Okay, where does it say that? Where does it say that underage workers? I'll tell you what I saw. I saw a portion of this, the Mandate for Leadership book, that said young adults. Adult means not underage. So are they going to link to that? What is this? They say they want to American Project. Here we go. Let's pull this one up. This is from American Progress. Project 2025 would exploit child labor by allowing minors to work in dangerous work conditions. Really? I mean, show me where it says that. I mean, if it does, I'll say, wow, that's interesting. Federal labor laws, blah, 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 coal mines, illnesses. Okay, where? Let's see. Despite strong evidence. Project 2025 proposes eliminating protections against hazardous work for children. Specifically, it calls for the U.S. Department of Labor to amend its hazard order regulations to permit teenage workers access to work in regulated jobs with proper training and parental consent. In plain English, revising these hazard order regulations means letting teens work in hazardous jobs. Exploiting child labor sounds extreme because it is extreme. Okay, where does it say that? Parental consent. That's interesting. That's evidence to suggest they do mean underage. I agree. However, the snippet, do they have it? Mandate for Leadership, because I'm pretty sure it said young adults, which would mean older than 18. But let's do this. Can we Control F here and do let's type in young adult. Young adults. There's 2, 5. Let's see. Physical education, hazard order regulations. Some young adults show an interest in inherently dangerous jobs. Current rules forbid many young people, even if their family is running the business, from working in such jobs. This results in worker shortages in dangerous fields and often discourages otherwise interested young workers from trying the more dangerous job. With parental consent and proper training, certain young adults, it keeps saying adults. Okay, hold on, what? Should be allowed to learn and work in more dangerous occupations. This would give a green light to training programs and build skills in teenagers who may want to work in these fields. Is that 18 and 19-year-olds? DOL should amend its hazard order regulations to permit teenage workers access to work in regulated jobs with proper training and parental consent. Workforce Training Grant Program. The federal government spends more than 100. Hold on. So they're lying. It says young adults every step of the way. 18-year-olds they're talking about. Parental consent, because their families run the business. These people are such scumbag liars. Is that it? Congress should create an employer grant up to $10,000 for a pro-rated portion thereof of worker engaged in on-the-job training to qualify. Where does it? It doesn't say anywhere about underage. They literally just made that up. It's talking about 18-year-olds working on the family business with the family's consent. It does not say underage workers. Well, there you go. Good riddance to CNN. They're lying. But I'll tell you what they're really doing. CNN is writing an opinion piece based on progressive propaganda. It does not say anywhere underage. What do you expect? That's the game they play. It's crazy, isn't it? America's child labor, the goal of child labor laws, research shows that adult jobs can cause health issues, blah, blah, blah. Wow. That's the information laundering game. Project 2025 says there are certain jobs that young adults, which would literally mean 18 and up, can't do based on regulations, even if their family owns the business. If they have the proper training and parental consent, they should be allowed to work those jobs. Agreed. Yeah, you're allowed to go to war. So long as they're saying young adults, I don't see the problem. That being said, I got no problem saying 16-year-olds. If you're 16 and you want to work a certain job with the right training, what's the problem? I don't think children should be working in mines or factories, but 16, 17 is different. And there should be restrictions and regulations. But I think it's fair to say I would be okay with assessing which dangerous jobs, the degree of danger, the rate of bodily harm per industry, and then say, yeah, we're not going to have 16-year-olds work in certain fields. But like, I don't know, forklift operator, maybe, wherever they're regulated and they can't do, so long as they know how to do it and they have the training, they're capable of doing this. I don't see why not. More importantly, nowhere did it say children. It said young adults every step of the way. But rest assured, CNN and others will still lie to you for political reasons. And that is the nature of the game. Now, why are they shutting down? I don't know. Maybe because they lie too much. What Gen Z's happily ever after looks like. The freedom embedded in my family's dream became real 60 years ago. I just got to be honest. I don't know why anybody would click any of these things. They are not interesting. Why can't we give up on capitalism? My teenage son had an influencer in his class. This is what it was like. This is actually interesting. And I'd be like, nah, I would not. Well, I wouldn't put my kids in public school, so that's an entirely different story. But I would not have them around an influencer. If my kid was friends with someone who started gaining tons and tons of followers, I'd just be like, no, sorry, we're not playing that game. And, you know, I think the reality is, like, my kid ain't going to be having no cell phone, ain't going to be on the internet. It's not going to be going to public school, private school, private tutoring, limited access to internet, but, you know, it'll be there. But none of this unfettered access. Children have access to, like, the most vile elements of the human psyche. Kids got it. You can't do it. Giving your kid a cell phone with the internet is like going to a kid and saying, go walk around Las Vegas by yourself. They're going to see things they should not see. And I got to be honest, it's worse than that. It'd be like saying, walk into any building, anywhere, at any time, for any reason, by yourself, and they'll let you in. And that can be criminal buildings. It can be like buildings where crimes are happening, watching women get abused. Yeah, no, you can't do that. You've got to restrict some of that. So anyway, whatever. I'm not going to go off on CNN's opinion piece in that regard, but just point out that CNN's trash and they lie. Thank you for watching this segment. You can follow me on X at Timcast. Become a member at Timcast.com. And we'll see y'all tonight at 8 p.m. for YouTube.com/TimcastIRL. And for everybody else, we're about ready to wind things down, but I'll grab a couple super chats. Sparky says, the underage workers narrative is part of the war on small business. Yep. It's interesting how it says young adults several times. And adult means 18 and up. And 18 and 19-year-olds are teenagers. It's ridiculous. Hammer says young adults already qualify for hazardous jobs. Well, then they're writing nonsense. If they're saying young adults should be allowed to have hazardous jobs, then the response is they already can. Thank you and have a nice day. If you want to argue that children or your underage teenagers can, you got to write that down. But that's not what they wrote. They wrote young adults. And I think it's reasonable to assume there are certain jobs that don't allow, you can't, I'll tell you one, you can't rent the car if you're not 25. Not a government regulation, typically a policy. But that means if you're 23 and you work for a company, you can't go and drive around and do insurance or whatever because you can't rent a car. How about that one? RJ says 17-year-olds can enlist with parental consent. I did years ago. But heaven forbid working a dangerous job, according to these journalists. And they didn't even say underage. They made it up. All right, my friends. I'm going to wrap it up there. We'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Follow me on X at Timcast and follow me on Instagram. Also, don't forget to go to Boonies HQ on Instagram. Go to Instagram. Follow Boonies HQ. Subscribe on YouTube to Boonies HQ as we ramp these things up. Let me see what the latest Boonies HQ stuff we got is. We have, watch the second video. How many views does it have now? 33,000. It should have way more than that. Wesley getting hit square in the nuts by a 2x4 on accident, I might add, should have way more views than 30,000, but things are going pretty well. Our last several videos have been ramping up and getting a lot of views and getting lots of followers on Boonies HQ on Instagram. We're going to be producing the idea for Boonies HQ. So again, go to YouTube. You're on YouTube. Search Boonies HQ and subscribe to the new channel as we're beginning to ramp things up. The goal is it's not just going to be... I was talking to this guy at dinner. We were having a business meeting, and I said, if I went to you and made a video, I said, I got a video for you. You want to watch? It's called Nollie 360 Flip Nollie 360 Flip Crooked Grind, Nollie Flip Out. Want to watch it? You'd be like, I guess, I don't know. But what if I said, here's a video of a dude getting hit in the nuts by a 2x4? You might chuckle and be like, all right, I understand that. So the goal of what we're doing with Boonies is to create cultural content that is entertaining with skateboarding as a backdrop. So young people will learn about skateboarding. They'll get involved in skateboarding. But the videos they're going to watch are going to be just more fun and funny and interesting. I explain to people like, dude perfect, but probably a little bit more like sports focused. We want to do things like kick flipping through the ring of fire. Anybody will watch that. You understand it's a guy jumping through a ring of fire, but we put a skateboard in it because we want to get more people interested in skateboarding and help expand that culture. So follow Boonies HQ on YouTube. And for everybody else, just we'll see you all tonight. Thanks for hanging out.